Baruch Hashem, good morning. Today's Chaf El Shnas Hakel, the 26th day in the Limud, in the Hemshech of the Rebbe Rashab. Today we're going to continue in the Maamer Viכולו on Daf, on Amud Memhe and Vov. What we're holding is, the Maamer Viכולו began discussing how in general is different than the of Keser. At the beginning of the Maamer, we spoke about because the idea of Keser is higher than Zman. We spoke about Arucha, the idea of Zman is from Ratze V'Shuv, it's Talkus and Mispashtus, coming and going, which that creates Chiluk Zmanim. Keser is higher than that. Yesterday we got into Bazeh, that Keser is higher than Zmanim. What Taka goes on in Keser? We said Keser is a type of Hamshacha which remains in Atzmos, remains in the Etzem, and therefore it's and a return that again just is re-niskalal, even though never really separated, which is called Mati V'loi Mati. And we explained how Mati V'loi Mati is very different than Ratze V'Shuv in a few ways. For example, there's no Ratze, there's no Merutza, because it never left. Even in the that it's in the Keli, the Merutza is only Shaykh when it's in the Keli. Once it's already Chayzev and Nichal, there's no Shaykh to have Merutza, it's not running anywhere. There's also no Shuv, because it's not a Hamshacha, it's not a Gilui, it's still Behelim, and it's Hamshacha K'tzas. Shuv means that it becomes an Hamshacha and something else. Another difference between the Mati V'loi Mati and the Ratze and Shuv is that Ratze V'Shuv is Mitzad HaMatam, Mitzad the Keli, Mitzad the Mati V'loi Mati is Mitzad HaAtzmos. In Ratze V'Shuv, the feels its Richuk, the wants to come close. And even when it's in an Ava V'Tan Nugim, so it's not because of a Richuk, there's still a level of Ratze the Kehelim where it wants to be Chayzev and Nichla in a sense. But Mati V'loi Mati, it's almost at the Atzmos, almost at the Mailam. We also spoke how in the level of the other spheres, the Chayas becomes a Davar Mamashi, it becomes a something physical, whereas by Mati V'loi Mati, or the Chayas in Ratzin, it's really just the Etzem HaNefesh being enclosed in Ratzin. There is no Hamshach Sachayas, there's no real Chayas, there's no real Metzias or being created at that moment. And I'm going to start, and then we concluded yesterday saying how by the level of Ratzin, of Keser, where it's Mati V'loi Mati, it's fully Nichla Mitzad Atzmos, and it's not shaykh to call it Ratze V'Shuv. Started right at the bottom of page Mem Daled, V'zeh hoya madreges Rashbi. This idea of Hiskalulus b'Mekoirei was the level of Rashbi. Ayin b'Derzuta daf Rish Tzadik Beis Amud Aleph, where he said, with one knot, my neshama is tied, I'm one with him, I flame up with him. Bringing up man to levels of bina is bittul out of your limitations. You can only have bittul of limitations when you're begeder kli. This idea of going up, traveling up, you're removed from one entity to another. You're removed from Aliyah, you're removed from the level below you, you go up to the level higher. You are considered an entity or an existence. Specifically when this is then only then you can say that it could go up, which means it's in a Metzias it's in a level of Metzias. Now it could go higher, either to a higher level, where it's a little less of a Metzias, or like we said, Ratzi, where it's ultimately Chayzev and Nichla. Like he says, that's the idea of Aliyah. And it's then included in Atzmos. When it's not in existence, and it's not in a vessel. However, it is a little bit drawn out from the source. You're the tippy top of this Hamshacha. You cannot have the idea of uplifting man, ma'im from the levels of the lower levels. All you can have over there is Hamshachas ma'im tchurim, the Hamshachas from the higher level. Kigama mad, also the level of mad, like this which is nimshech k'tzas, who shenimshech min hamakar. It's that it's drawn from the source. What's pshat? Nida loymar hakavana seems to say the meaning of this is that mad is like the the gamma madusha mokar nimshach. Pshat is not nimshach min per se, but that the source is in that The point is, it's not that it's a new type of which is separate from the source. It's like we said earlier, when the is then a little bit distant from the atmos, it becomes its own existence, something different than it was, and then it goes even more, it's now even something separated. And so to the Ma'im Tchurim, it's not in existence. Pshat that the atzmos is nimshach. So nimshach min ha-mocker means that the mocker is constantly always holding on to it and it doesn't become a mehusa mitzias on its own. Let's go back to what we said. So nimshach min ha-mocker. So it's this level where it's taka nimshach. The mocker is taka in it. The eloshein b'chinas kli and it doesn't become a b'chinas kli. Shrei masha nimshach mislavish b'keli. What actually goes in the kelu? B'chinas ershaba b'gilui. That's only what's revealed. This only happens when it's fully distanced. All that's drawn is, again, it doesn't become clear, it only is the Hamshach of the Makar. That Resh is Hamshach Levad, only the tippy top, the beginning of the Hamshach. O Yishlem Rakavana. Another explanation, She'enim V'chines Kli. The V'chines Aratin, Enim V'chines Kli, Hamshach Atmos. It's not a Keli in order to draw Atmos, to close it on because Hamshach V'atoyas Atmos. It's only there to tilt the Atmos one way or another. It's not there to draw it in. It's not a Keli in any way to create the Hamshach of the Atmos. So either we say that, like we said, that Keli is Begilui, or Hamshachas Ha'atzmos. Vinish Dvi Ratin is neither. V'zeu Be'alehita. This is the level of Rashim ben Yechai where he said, Be'alehita, I become one flame with him. She'elhitu ve'islavus shalai. The flaming and the excitement of his Urak Mechamas Atzmos HaMakar, it's only because it feels the Makar is connected with the Makar. A level of, like we said, Mati v'loi Mati, because the that's Meir by the Neshamas of the Rashbi is not in any way nifrad. It's all just Hamshachas Ha'atzmos. Sefer Pnei Melech Mefarish Be'lehita v'zel Shai. He explains Be'lehita in a different way, and he says, Shu Meir ba, it lights in it, u'mitzratza lishkem b'seicha, and is willing to rest in it. V'oz ba'ordei lehetes ka'or la'ata shal hefetz at kan l'shai. And then, with his the light is shining like the flame of a fire. Nimtza, the lehita, according to this pirush of the Pnei Melech, Ubchinas Gilu Er Neshama, it's a revelation of the Neshama, Mashi Nimsheches Umeira, which it lights up. V'zeu Beidavka, this is what it means in it. Shubchinas Hamshachas Atzmos Shaloyit Umeir. So this is, here we're having another pshat which is slightly different, that the lehita is mitzad Atzmos HaMakar, meaning to say that you're there, rather the Atzmos HaMakar comes into you. But either way, this is a level of kol b'makar, not a new golui, and since it's mechamas atzmos hamakar, miyad miskalelas b'makar. Right when you have this gilui the neshama or the neshamas of Rishon ben Yechai becomes one with the source. V'zeu be'achida, and this is what the next part is. I become one with him. Shubrin says achdus v'skalos ba'atzmos. So we basically see that Rishon ben Yechai, the Madrega was an avoid on this level of the level of Keser, the level of Ratzin, where there is no Mitzias, or rather Hamshachas Ha'atzmos, either Hamshachas HaMakar, either in a oifen of either in a oifen that's just Atzmos HaMakar shining right there, or that it's actually Nimshach into the and Neshama, like the Pnei Melech says. But then this causes that miyad miskalos b'makar. It's two different levels, I guess, in mati v'loy mati. Zeh mashachas Hashem tisal nafshi. This is what it means. And my soul will become happy with Hashem. Kishal heves ha'olam me'elel. It's like a flame which goes up on its own. Shu'inin avodas matana. This is the Indian of avoid of a present. Shenitna min hamakar. You give a present from the source. Lahalif hanefesh from the Eibishter gives you an avodah of a matana, something which you do not usually obtain on your own, rather matana that now the Eibishter gives you. this Gilui Ur, and this creates that you should be in a level of connection with the Makar. So not like we said earlier that it's mata, which that's the idea of Ratzav V'Shuv, where you're excited of your understanding. You become to one point, you become to the level of higher than Asaga. On its own it gets excited, from the flame of the source, and becomes one with the makar. Like a flame which comes drawn out a little bit from the fire. We're talking about over here from a coal. Fire that's in the coal that you cannot see. And the fire right away comes back in. So like for example, you see a flame going out but coming right back in. So it's not even that's constantly nichla. It's like avodas matana. The flame goes out, but that creates a chayzer v'nichla right away back into you. And this is kind of what we're saying is a madrega of Shimon Yichai. This is the level of avarabba. Or the level of avatanugim. Like we said earlier, when the Atzmos is revealed, then the Rotzoi becomes Klesa Nefesh Mamash. Avarabba is something that happens to Derech Mela. So Avtanugim is a little bit of an avodah. It's a Rotzoi Takmitz Adamata, but it creates a real Klesa Nefesh. Like we said earlier, that even by Avtanugim there's a level of Rotzoi B'Shuv. Avarabba, on the other hand, makes it Mitzad Mayla on its own. Shalamayla B'chinas Hakeli Shaya Aaron Kahana Rabba Mamshich. This is higher. Avarabba is higher than the Keli, which Aaron was Mamshich. Adibchinas Adikna to the level of his beard. Skan Aaron Shiur up him. Like it says in Tehillim, shouldn't clear levushim the b'chinas aval yena, which the beard is a vessel for the aval yena. From levushim the Torah mitzvahs, which comes to every maskal v'tzis bring the kodesh. So he was mamshich min hamakar and b'chinas ha'atzos so close from shamitz so b'shal shayim atak ha'menera. So this avarabba is higher than when Aaron HaKohen was mamshich. Because Aaron HaKohen was taka mamshich through b'chinas dikna, some sort of a level of keli. So even though it came from the makar, there was still some sort of separation. Here it's avarabba, which is nimshach directly milamayla, which is on a much higher level than all of this. And this again was a madrega of the Rashbi, which has a oneness with the Eibishter. Okay, v'zeu b'Hashem atzmoi tisal v'tzalav nafshi. This is the pshat of the pasuk. And Hashem Himself, my soul will be excited. Shehu haratzain. This is the idea of will. And this oneness, because again, like we said, your chayzer v'nichal, this creates the be'achida. Similar to this. To the avoid of Rashbi, Hoysa Gam Kinteira Shal Rashbi was also Rav Shimon Yichai's Torah benigla. Choysa Torah Menaseh Perish Klishalo was his umanos. Umanos means your craftsmanship or your keli. So yedea pnimius b'chol b'shutei halachos. All halachos you know the pnimius. When you learned through nigla you're mamshech pnimius. Since he was oneness and fully connected to the Eibishter, all his learning was in this level of amshachas mad, which, like we said at the beginning of today's limud, that Allah Asman requires bitla keli. Here, since there's no keli, all there is the idea of amshachas mad. Like we said earlier, there's the revelation of Asmos. So he kind of broke down the avodas Rashbi in Sai in his Madrega, Sai in his avodah of Torah, where that this is all simply understood on this idea of that there exists a level where that level there is no idea of a new mahas mitzvah, rather amshach samakar, which creates chayzer v'nichla right away in a way that there is no separation of eres. However, Mashiach Shar Tanaim, the rest of the Tanaim, Shayol Loivdim, Hoy Bechinas Halo Asman. If I demo was Halo Asman, again, that's because the earth is reading a Keli, you have the idea of Halo Asman, B'yois Kini Slat Shah Torah B'nyanim Gashmiim. Since Torah was enclosed in physical things, Asur Mutar, Zayachal Alis, this could go up, Fis Askus, B'chinas HaKelim, and working within Kelim. Like he says here, I know, as the which is in the keli, right? So the is actually now on a physical level, but that creates the idea of Ratzav V'Shuv. Because you could have bittul. Since it's a lost man, the Amshach comes through a tzimtzum. It's not anymore the Amshach of Atzmos. But Rashbi was an oven at Pnimius. It was Amshachas Mad. What is Amshachas Mad? which is the idea of drawing down atzmos. This is why also going to be when Mashiach is going to come. It will not be a clothing. Clothing is the idea of levushim. Levushim is the idea of keli. Ksiv os ba'ayin ki ayin ba'ayin yiru. We're going to see eye to eye. We're able to see the pnimis of the Eibusher's chachma through our level of chabad and nukva, our physical self. We're all going to be at the level of Reb Shimon ben Yochai. That's also going to affect davening. It's not going to be a level of Ratzav V'Shuv. It's rather going to be in a level of Mati V'Loi Mati, which comes from Atzmos. According to all of this, where we started yesterday and the day before in Maamer Vicholo, which again, this all started from the conversation we had earlier of Indian Oisim Ritzayin Shalmakim, this Pnimis and Chitzayin Ratzin. Ratzin we said is Keser. Within Keser, we asked the question, why did we have to get a Ratzin of mitzvahs when there's already a Ratzin for the Olamas? So we started saying that Keser is Lamaylam Mizman, higher than Ratzin V'Shuv Mati V'Loi Mati, is Zakter now, Pizeh Yuvan, Shebchinas Keser Lamaylam Shebchinas Azman. Yes, Shebchinas Keser, Shebchinas Ratzin. Ein Shaykh in Ratzin V'Shuv, since at this level there's not Shaykh's idea of Ratzin V'Shuv, as we explained at length, Shebchinas is Talkus V'Hamshacha, Shebchinas is Pashtos. Which idea of Ratzin V'Shuv is leaving and drawing down. V'Yashus B'Keli, and settling in a keli. If you cut it, the idea is that it's drawn up. Moving out of one existence to another most, which is only shaykh when you're in a keli, in a shaykh way. It's not a level of limitation. All it is that it's drawn, not an oven of his yashros. Again, Hamshacha here is that it's etzem nimshach. The beginning of the Hamshacha, there's no new mehus, there's no shaykh to have a ratzoi. Again, and more to understand better, that there is the idea of excitement or recombining. The idea of like no hamshacha, right? So re-iskalos. It's not from the kelim because it's not in kelim. Ein ze mitzad atzmos, since this doesn't have mehusar. Ki mitzad hamakar and b'chinas atzmos, which is nimshach in it. There's no idea of zman. The idea of time, shaykh rak mitzad the only mitzad Shebchinas mitzias, which is in the level of existence, of b'chinas gvul and limitation. And therefore, when you are in the level of gvul, you can go up. You go out of your limitations. You go out of one entity to another one. Then when you come back to shuv to settle back down, it's a real hamshacha b'chinas gilu v'syashros. And this is two totally separate levels. B'chinas istalkus v'spashtus. There's istalkus and ispashtus. There's going away and coming back, and that's why shaykh differences of zmanim. Aval baratzon, but in ratzon itself, ein shaykh zekinal. This is not shaykh at all. The b'chinas are in the level of itself, ratzon and shuv are opposites. The baratzon b'chinas aliv istalkus b'chinas mitzias from hos dvar ma b'chinas heder mitzias. Ratzon, you're going from an existence to lack of existence. Shuv, Shuv is all the way around. You come from a lack of existence into an existence. Mati v'loy are not separate and opposite madregas. Even when there's mati, the level of ispashtos, you're not mitzias. You're still oneness with your makar. You're not yet in the level of existence of her. This forces to say that when you go back to his skalalus, it can't be the opposite of the isyashvus, which never happened. So since there was never isyashvus, how could there now be any level of iskalalus? Since it doesn't actually become an existence, it's not opposite of the re-inclusion. We can't say that when it's v'loy mati, as in when it's re-eskalus, it's not in existence at all. Shein zayin in eskalus. This is not the idea of eskalus. Elokin and hoshit usarfon. He put a finger in there and he burnt them. I think it's talking about when he burnt the malachim that were making problems. The biskalus Hareu nimtza gamken. So I think in an iskalus is hashit v'sarfon. You put your finger, you burn them, they make the mois mitzias, they're gone. But that's not iskalus. Iskalus hareu nimtza gamken. So there's no level of sarfon. Elosh enim b'chinas mitzias. It's not in existence. V'nimtza. B'chinas mati v'le mati enim b'chinas mati v'cholakas v'afkum zeh mati v'le mati are not separate levels. The b'shneimu nimtza. Both of them you're existent. Uv'shneimu b'chinas heder mitzias. And in both of them you're not lack of existence. There's no way to have a differentiation of times. And since there's no way to have Ischalkus Zman, Nikra Yom Shekulei Aruch. It's a day which is very long. Hainu Shobchinas Bligvul. It's an unlimited level. V'nikra Shekulei Aruch. It's very long. Even at the beginning, it's very, very long. Something that has a beginning and an end. The idea of length happens at the end. When we say we're in a very, very long time. The first minute, there's no arichus. The arichus is only b'seifet. Arichus ain't arichus b'emes, but it's not real arichus. So it's all relative. It can be very, very long, but gvul is all relative. So it's lav dafka arichus. It doesn't have a beginning. At the beginning is already an arichus. It's fully long. It's actually bligvul in its essence. And therefore there is no differences in zmanim. The level of Ratzon, so we just concluded a whole arichus. How this level of Ratzon is Mati V'loi Mati. Mati V'loi Mati doesn't really have a different opposite between the Mati and the V'loi Mati. In both Madeigas they're Nimtza, in both Madeigas they're Ein Nimtza. And it's a Iskalus, which Iskalus doesn't mean that Ein Nimtza. Iskalus rather means that it's Nimtza, B'chinas Iskalus. So there's no Zmanim in it. It's Yom Shekulei Aruch. So we say, Taka in Shach B'chinas Zman, B'chal Mokem Arei U'Sherish U'Mokem B'chinas Zman, it's the source of Zman. After all that we said, that it's Iskalus b'Makare, after all, it's still just the light of the Eibishter. It's the beginning of the Amshacha. So it didn't yet come to a point of Zmanim, but it's still an Amshacha. Ratzin, the way it is not Atzmos. So it's Shaykh to having it, the level of spreading and not spreading. Gam. So not in the oifen of it itself being zmanim, rather a makar as zmanim. The gam question is this that we said earlier that it's not a mahus, it's only bending the atzmos one way or another. It's the atzmos wants to ratzin. Before the ratzin, it's not shach to say that he wants. It's taka only atayas anefesh. And it's all taka atayas atzmos, one way or another, but still an ervaziv amshachar ktsas amshachar rishayna. V'lachem b'chinas madrega zu hakam she'ena shaykh b'chinas istalkus ispashtos b'chinas tzitz v'shuv, since it's still interconnected with the atzmos be'achida be'lehita. So be'lehita, which causes be'achida. So taka, you could not have a istalkus ispashtos michal makom shaykh b'chinas mati v'loy mati. It still has a mispashet ve'enim mispashet. Shu gamkin in ispashtos v'skalos al kolponim in a limited oifen or in some sort of an oifen. Therefore, it's a source for the Ratzah B'Shuv. The Zeshar becomes Ratzah B'Shuv. The Zeshar Mishav Aladei Mativ Le'Makir Sheba Moker. This that becomes Ratzah B'Shuv. It's because it's created through the Mativ Le'Mati in the Ratzah in the Keser. Yishloimer the Me'Haloi Mati Nasa B'Chinas Ratzah or Me'Amati Nasa Shuv. From the Maloi Mati comes the Ratzah, because that's the idea of Einem Ispashet, like the idea of Rihiskalos. Mati, the idea of Ispashet. Resettling is true. I'm not sure if it's Alkapanim, a source for Zman. Even though Ratzin is unlimited, since it does have a mispashet, it is still somewhat of a source for Zman. So this, we kind of took like pivot right here, where we're saying the whole time that Ratzin does not check the Zmanim at all, and in one paragraph we kind of said Takanat, but Al Kaponim, because it has the idea of Mati V'loi Mati, it is Al Kaponim a Shirish Umakar to HaZmanim. And I can't imagine the Maimer will leave us at this. But tomorrow we'll kind of go back to the question in the Maimer, the difference of Ratzin through mitzvahs, Ratzin through Brias HaOlamas. But I'm hoping we'll come back to this point because there's a lot of arichas here. Al Kapanim, what is the real difference between Ratzin and the other spheres? And this is going to be discussed in Mámar Mishal Achrizah, where there's a lot more discussion about Ratzin. If not, we'll kind of leave this as a episode, something to think about and discuss more at later times. Atzlacha Rabba, guten Tag.